In this go-for-a-punch world in which we live, where we spend our days with SpongeBob SquarePants and our nights strolling London after midnight, you may think you've heard of everything we've yet to find. But there is more unknown in this world than you could possibly imagine. This is lesser-known lost media.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It is I, your host, Mr. Sean, and this is Lesser Known Lost Media, Volume 5. If this is your first time on the series, don't worry, the videos can be watched in any order. As the name suggests, this show is dedicated to showcasing lost media that you just don't hear about all the time on other YouTube channels. I mean, honestly, isn't a more obscure piece of lost media a little bit more interesting than one everybody knows about? Anyway, the way this works is I'll start the video off with 4 pieces of quote-unquote safe-for-work, family-friendly lost media, and then we'll have a brief ad break, and then we will talk about one not-safe-for-work piece of lost media. Pretty simple concept, but one that seems to be working well for this series. So, without further ado, let's get to number 1. Coming in at number 1, we have the original script for the comic book The Watchman, which is partially found and is circa 1986. You've probably heard of The Watchman. You might know it from the movie, you might have read the comic, or you might know it from your edgy friend who likes to quote Rorschach all the time. Ooh, he's so deep and dark and mysterious. But, I think what's really interesting about The Watchman, even more so than the themes it talks about or the ideas or just even how it is literally the one comic book on the listed on the 100 best novels of all time, is that it has changed drastically since its first inception. Like, just to be perfectly honest, I'm not even sure the piece we're talking about in this this entry is even the original script, so to speak. Because there's about 5 pages of this script that are available for viewing, and you can see in some of them that they actually reference the character like Rorschach in it. And as you can see from these photos, it is an absolutely massive script, because this was quite an undertaking for writer Alan Moore, but the characters themselves aren't the original ones he envisioned. Fans of the series probably already know this, but Watchmen was meant to be originally a way for DC Comics to bring in characters they had just purchased from Charlton Comics. And just due to the content of the story, they decided to make it a completely new story, as many of these newly bought characters would be more or less unusable by the end of the story, and that's not what DC wanted, but they liked the idea. So there might be an even earlier script out there that we don't even know is missing, where like Night Owl is in fact Blue Beetle, or the comedian is Peacemaker. But whether that's true or not, this original script is absolutely massive, because you can see just from the few images we have of it, but the full script has never been released to the public. And honestly, that's too bad, because you can definitely see in these little excerpts that there's a lot of, author notes and things. It's more than just, let's read through the script. This is really interesting. But for whatever reason, we don't have access to it. So maybe someday we will, but we don't right now. At number 2, we have a partially found song of unknown origin and title that is just collectively known as either Everyone Knows That or Ulterior Motives. So let's take a quick second to listen to this song, or at least the only part of this song we have. Now, does that song sound really familiar and nostalgic to you? Like you've heard it before, but you just can't quite place where you heard it? Well, if so, you are not alone in that. This 17-second sample was uploaded by user Carl92 on a website called What's That Song. He claimed he found it on a file in a DVD backup. The file is from 1999, however, due to the style, people assume it was recorded somewhere between the 80s and the 90s originally. Now, the version we listened to was a remastered version, but the original form has been determined that it was not from a VHS or something, that it was definitely recorded straight off of TV, like putting a microphone up to your TV speaker, and it contained a specific pilot tone only present in MTS broadcasts exclusive to select few countries. So it was also determined that the song was definitely captured, or likely captured, via a computer microphone. So it's also thought that this song might be for television material or advertising as opposed to something that would have been on like an album. Also, while people can't entirely agree on what the lyrics are, the general consensus is it's something close to, "You're counting all the sheep in the sky, caught up in a world of lies. Everyone knows that. Yeah, you got ulterior motives. Tell me the truth. Everyone knows that." And that's where the snip gets cut off. Personally, this sounds to me almost like something that would like be the intro into like, I don't know, the 700 Club or some like religious infomercial type program. Back when they were trying to make 1950s values appear to hip cool 80s teen sensibilities. But your guess is as good as mine. The whole thing is the song sounds really familiar, but nobody seems to be able to figure out where it's from, who made it, but it does exist, so where's the rest of it? At number 3, we have Alfred J Quack, partially lost Japanese dub of Dutch-German-Japanese animated series circa 1989 to 1990. Now this one I found interesting because while it is no rarity that multiple countries' studios will be involved in a single production. I mean, there's so many Canadian French, Canadian American, Japanese American. Like there's so many times that a cartoon that we love will have more than one country of origin. It'll be like a joint project, but typically it's usually like the English dub of this project that is hard to find. And it's usually there's no trouble finding a Japanese dub of things. It is very rare, which makes cases where it is very interesting to me. And Alfred J Quack is one of these. It is an animated comedy drama TV series based on a Dutch theater show, and it was co-produced by Vera, Telecable, Benelux BV, ZDF, and TV Tokyo. The show was released in 1989 and consists of 52 episodes, which isn't bad for a show that was only around 1 year. So the animation was actually all done in Japan, but the Japanese dub is incredibly rare. The only Japanese home media that was ever released of this was a music CD with the show's theme song, and this made the Japanese dub more difficult to find than the European version of the show. As far as I know, this was never released in English, so there's no English dub to be found. But there were several European countries where DVDs and VHSs were released, and it was always dubbed in wherever it was being released. Those are actually very, very common. Apparently, once upon a time, all 52 episodes had been ripped from their Japanese TV release and uploaded to YouTube, but they've been taken down, likely due to copyright claims, and someone claimed to have 32 out of the 52 in a Japanese dub. The biggest idea here, the most likely scenario, is that people probably have this series in its entirety in private collections that they taped off of TV, but due to copyright law, they are unable to upload it. This is just interesting to me because it is so rare that if something is released in multiple languages, that Japanese is the one that's hard to find, especially because this is technically anime. Even more interesting, in 2019, a YouTuber uploaded all 52 episodes in Mandarin/Chinese language that had all of the Japanese music, but was in Mandarin, was in the Mandarin language. So, this thing, even the Japanese version was technically then dubbed into Mandarin, but we still don't have the Japanese. I just think that's really interesting. Also, I'm not surprised it was never released in the States, though, because this definitely looks like it was meant to be like a Donald Duck, DuckTales ripoff, and Disney would not have been happy with that. Alright, at number 4, we have Nightwing number 30, which is a partially found, unreleased comic from 2011. Now, like most fans of comic book superheroes, I have a certain love for Batman and the extended Bat family. If you know anything about Batman, you know that the very first Robin, Dick Grayson, eventually went on to become the hero Nightwing. Nightwing has had a number of solo series over the years, my favorite being one that I'm still trying to figure out which issue it was of which series, but after Dick Grayson spends the night with Barbara Gordon, this is after she was paralyzed by the Joker in The Killing Joke, the next morning as she's still in bed and he's getting dressed, she goes, "Wow, I don't know what you did to me, but I can't feel my legs." And he's like, "Oh, that's not funny." And she's like, "Yeah, it's a little funny." But, all tangents aside, Nightwing is a very popular character. So the Nightwing comic book in question technically started in 2011 as a series, but the missing comic is from 2014. Because in January of 2014, DC announced that the Nightwing 2011 series would end with its 30th issue. The original solicitation for Nightwing number 30 read as such. Nightwing number 30, written by James Tynion IV, art by Megan Hetrick, cover by Eddie Barrows. There was a 125 Mad variant cover, and it was supposed to be on sale April 9th, 40 pages, full color, $3.99 US, rated teen, final issue. Retailers, this issue will ship with 2 covers. Please see the order form for more information. The Bat family is forced to face the brutal aftermath of Forever Evil, but after everything they've been through, can they stand together? But then the comic got delayed for a month. This original plan was scrapped in favor of an issue that would better lead into the upcoming Grayson series. They replaced James Tynion, and with the upcoming writers for Grayson, Tim Seeley and Tom King. The artist Megan Hetrick was also replaced with Mikkel Janin, Javier Giron, Jorge Lucas, and Guillermo Ortego. But despite, basically scrapping the issue was supposedly mostly done. We have a scrapped plot synopsis. The unpublished issue was going to feature almost all of the Bat family, including Batgirl Barbara Gordon, Jim Gordon, the Red Hood Jason Todd, the Red Robin Tim Drake, Batman, and Alfred. In addition, Starfire, Superman, and Roy Harper, Red Arrow or Arsenal, I don't know what he was going by at the time, were going to appear. The story would have centered around the funeral of Dick Grayson, having his friends and family share stories about him and grieve. Meanwhile, it's revealed that Batman helped Dick fake his death to have him go undercover. I mean, honestly, that sounds like a pretty interesting comic. And apparently, the issue had already been inked. All 30 of the inked pages were later posted and sold on Megan Hetrick's art agent's website in 2014, but without lettering. So we thought, oh, maybe it got inked, but they didn't do any lettering on it. Well, nope, they actually discovered that it had been fully lettered when James Tynion posted the lettered page to his website, to his Twitter, in 2017. Now, from this, we're assuming that the entire thing was lettered, but no more lettered pages have been released or found since, so the full dialogue of the issue does remain lost. I just think it's really interesting that they would just scrap this issue of what sounds like it would be a pretty cool comic just because, we're just gonna tie it in better with the new series. I mean, you don't really, it feels like, you had this team work on this comic for 29 issues of the 30, and then for the final one, you just said, who cares? But I mean, if DC's movies are any indication, they don't make the best decisions. But who knows? Maybe one day we'll at least see the rest of the lettered pages of this comic, though, sadly, I doubt that it will ever be in full color. Alright guys, and as always, before we get into the final not safe for work piece of media, please give me a brief moment to talk about my business, Chimera Miniatures. If you're new to the channel, basically this channel is a way for me to make entertaining videos while also getting some free advertising for my business, Chimera Miniatures, where I make custom, one-of-a-kind kit-bashed miniatures that I sell through my eBay and Etsy pages. I also sell various collectibles, be it Squishmallows, anime figures, or even the occasional Pokemon card. But the main point of Chimera Miniatures is to offer you things you won't find other places. Whether it is the one-of-a-kind kit bashed from various bits and pieces chimeras that I named my business after, or my not-safe-for-work repaints of various HeroClix superheroes and other famous characters, my goal is to offer you something that you won't find elsewhere. all for a price that is usually less than what people are charging for their mass-produced 3D printed miniatures that you see all over Etsy and eBay these days. So if you like the content on this channel and you want to help it grow, of course like, comment, subscribe, share the video around, but also click my link, check out my eBay, my Etsy, maybe buy a mini, maybe send it to somebody you know who likes minis. You know, the more minis I sell, the more videos I make, and the more people that see this video, the more chances I have to sell my minis. So, you know, help me, help you, help me make more videos. And without further ado, let's get into the final not safe for work entry on today's video. And at number 5, we have Suzumi Fune, aka Cool Ship, which is a lost 1932 Japanese pornographic animated short. This short animated film, directed by Hakusan Kimura, is widely considered to be the first piece of pornographic animation ever produced in Japan. Now, Japan is no stranger to pornographic drawings. I mean, Hokusai, who is famous for his great wave off Kanagawa print, said to be the most reproduced image of art of all time, has another print that, while maybe not as famous, is certainly infamous, called The Dream of the Fisherman's Wife, which features a Japanese woman having some fun times with a couple of octopus. And that was made all the way back in 1814. So you might think that all would be well and good for Japan to make a pornographic cartoon if, you know, they've been such down bad pervs for animated smut for over a century. Well, censorship standards in Japan have fluctuated greatly over the centuries, and unfortunately, at the time of this production, it was in their more conservative era. And before this film could be completed, it was seized by the police and has never been released. Now, something that's interesting about this unreleased film is that at some point in the early 2000s, the Tokyo police donated remnants of the film to the National Film Center, and it is said that the print is 10 minutes long. So, brief update, I was able to find a little bit more about this by going to the Japanese Wikipedia page and translating it over to English. Sometimes some of these foreign things I do run into troubles finding information because I do not read Japanese at all, but I was able to find this, so let me expand on this a little. Supposedly the plot of this is more or less about a young woman who is lured by another man who attempts to commit a sex act on her, but she is saved when the man is spotted by a boatman and falls into the river, and then the boatman goes on to apparently have sex with the woman. Again, that was from a crude trying to piece together a not great translation, translating the Japanese Wikipedia entry into English, but that's what I took from it. And while the Lost Media Wiki states that definitively the police are the ones who donated a copy of the film, that is speculated, not known. It was secretly donated, there was no official announcement of the rediscovery, and the collection status of the work was registered in the Japanese Media Art Database, and the existence was made known to the public for the first time at that point. Well, ultimately, this film, nobody knew where it was at all for almost 85 years. And when asked if there would be able to be a screening of the work, the museum's response was that it could not be released due to the arrangement with the donor. There have been requests to for the museum to talk to the donor, whoever it may be, about making it available to researchers, but as of right now, this remains locked away, sealed, and, you know, nobody can actually watch this. Again, I mean, on its face value, it's just an old cartoon porno movie. It's probably not great quality considering when it was made, but it is interesting in how big the quote-unquote cartoon porn industry in Japan has become, and this is said to be, you know, the very origin of animated smut in Japan. So I definitely think it does have, at least from a historical aspect, some culturally significant value, as opposed to other just, oh hey, like we talked in one of the early episodes about La Blue Girl, and it's like, alright, it's an old cartoon porno movie. I mean, do you really care if you can find it in its entirety? Go watch something more recent if that's your thing. It feels weird to utter the phrase historically significant pornography, but there you have it. And guys, that's going to be the video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and check the links. Buy a mini. Right now, at the time of recording this, we are at 80 subscribers on the channel. And when we get to 100, we will do another miniature giveaway. But in order to make sure I keep making videos, again, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and go to the links, buy a mini. Until next time, guys, this is Chimera Miniatures. I'm Mr. Sean, and I sincerely hope that you alpha a great day and an even beta tomorrow. Bye-bye.